Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking what I think is a necessary shortcut through the dense fog of 2026 cybersecurity forecasts.
There's so much out there.
Right. So we've pulled together predictions from the heavy hitters, Gartner, Google, top industry CISOs, to give you a focused, actionable blueprint of what's coming.
And the consensus is pretty clear. I mean, 2026 really marks a pivotal year where the old reactive security models, they just break.
They can't keep up.
They just can't. So our mission here is to distill it all down into three major themes for you. First, how AI is fundamentally reshaping both offense and defense. Second, the explosion of third-party risk.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And finally, the structural shifts, mostly driven by regulation,
Yeah.
that are demanding totally new security architectures, like right now.
I think the biggest takeaway from all the sources is just the change in the speed of the fight. But before we get into that, we want to thank our sponsor, www.sysomracketplace.com.
They've been a great partner.
They really have. They get that security investment decisions are harder than ever when the landscape changes this fast, and they help you connect with vetted, trusted solutions.
And that's exactly why 2026 is so pivotal. The systems we've built on these older, slower assumptions, they just won't hold up against the velocity we're starting to see.
Okay, so let's start right there with part one, the AI arms race. AI is now, firmly established as both the sword and the shield.
Exactly.
On the offensive side, it's not just a fancy tool anymore. Generative AI is, it's industrializing cybercrime. It lowers the barrier to entry. It automates attacker workflows. I saw one expert note that AI is making phishing campaigns 3 times more effective.
3 times.
Yeah.
And that's not surprising when you think about the quality and scale of personalization now. But what's really fascinating here is the leap from AI assistance to autonomous attackers.
You're talking about agentic AI attacks.
Right. We're seeing the rise of these autonomous systems that can execute entire multi-step operations. I mean, discovering an exploit, crafting the delivery, bypassing detection, propagating, all of it with no human handoff.
So the entire attack chain is automated.
It's a whole thing. And it moves at machine speed, which fundamentally changes the cadence and scale of these campaigns.
That speed is what truly gets me. The time to exploit for a 0 day. It used to be weeks, maybe days. You had time for a patch cycle.
You have breathing rooms.
Exactly. Now, with AI-powered fuzzing and automated vulnerability discovery, experts say that window is shrinking down to mere hours. It forces us into what they're calling a hyperpatching era.
And that raises a crucial question, right? Does hyperpatching even scale for a large enterprise? I don't think so. If your time to exploit is dropping to hours, you can't rely on human teams to keep pace.
So you have to fight fire with fire.
You have to fight machine speed with machine speed. There's no other way.
It also means attackers are turning the AI tools against themselves. We have to talk about prompt injection. It's being called the new malware of the AI era. You're not injecting malicious code into an OS anymore. You're embedding hidden instructions into a prompt to manipulate the AI agent itself.
Overriding its safeguards, hijacking its agency. It's a completely new attack surface.
Yeah.
And our traditional perimeter security, it wasn't designed to monitor the logic flows inside an LLM. It's an internal application threat.
Let's shift that from the technical back to the human element, because that's where AI really weaponizes our weaknesses. I mean, deepfakes, synthetic media.
Oh, yeah.
They're fueling this hyper-personalized social engineering. Google specifically warned about sophisticated vishing voice phishing, where they can mimic an executive's voice. It's becoming almost impossible for an average user to detect.
And that leads directly to a key insight on defense failure. Experts are highlighting the danger of what they call cognitive overload.
Which leads to YOLO mode.
Exactly, YOLO mode.
Yeah.
Think about it. You have a human-in-the-loop safety mechanism, right? The system asks for user approval every time an AI agent wants to do something sensitive.
So you get pop-up after pop-up after pop-up.
You're bombarded with permission requests. And to avoid the interruption, you just start clicking yes. Or you enable auto-approve, which completely defeats the whole point of the security mechanism.
That's a powerful insight. A security feature that causes a security failure because it's just so frustrating to use.
It's a classic human factors problem.
Okay, to sum up, the threats are moving at machine speed. And the new attack surface includes the AI models and the humans trying to govern them.
Exactly. And defending against this means CISOs have to re-architect their security stacks immediately. The focus has to be on finding AI security platforms, continuous threat exposure management (STM) solutions.
And finding the right tools that can keep pace requires serious expertise and due diligence. That's why we appreciate the support of www.csimracketplace.com, a resource designed for connecting security leaders with trusted, vetted solutions for this exact new era of risk.
So if the attacks are accelerating that fast, we have to look at where they're hitting hardest.
Right. This pivots us to the widening exposure surface supply chain, cloud, critical infrastructure.
And third-party risk is said to dominate the headlines, all fueled by that attack cadence we just discussed. We're facing what some experts are calling a supply chain collapse.
So attackers are moving away from hitting, say, a huge software company directly.
They are. They're targeting third-party SaaS providers, smaller outsourced vendors.
Why the little guys? Is it just easier?
It's a massive ROI at low risk. Attackers know these smaller vendors often have, inconsistent security standards compared to the big companies they serve.
So you compromise one small vendor.
And you get access to 1,000 of their major clients' environments. It's the path of least resistance to the biggest prize.
This shift is creating an immediate mandate for what's being called digital provenance. If your code can be compromised or even generated by an AI you don't fully trust, you have to track its origin. That's where SBOMs come in, right? Software bills of materials.
Correct. They're basically ingredient lists for your software. You need them to manage third-party and AI-generated code risk. And Gartner forecasts that organizations failing to invest here, well, they're facing compliance sanctions potentially costing billions by 2029.
So it's not just a best practice, it's a financial imperative now.
It's all about liability. Meanwhile, cloud complexity is still a huge problem. The sources show breaches are still so often caused by simple human errors colliding with these incredibly complex multi-cloud setups.
A misconfigured storage bucket, an exposed API key.
The classics.
Yeah.
But now we're compounding that with shadow agent risk. Beyond just chatbots, employees are deploying autonomous AI agents, unmonitored, sophisticated systems handling sensitive data.
And these agents become massive vectors for data leaks, IP theft. It's forcing a whole new discipline of AI governance almost overnight.
You have to know what agents are running, what data they can access, and what they can do.
Okay, finally, let's look at critical infrastructure. OT and ICS. Google's forecast was very clear here. Cybercrime is still the primary threat.
Right, and the tactic is often ransomware. It's designed to hit critical enterprise software, like ERP systems, which then cripples the industrial environment and forces a payment. But what has intensified is the geopolitical threat.
Nation-states.
Nation-state actors are exploiting that huge security maturity gap between older, often unpatchable OT systems and the modern IT networks. They see OT as a softer, higher-impact target.
This whole systemic widening risk surface, it's driving a massive change in defensive strategy. Which brings us to part 3, the defensive shift and structural mandates.
The consensus is our models have to stop being purely reactive. It just doesn't work anymore. Given the machine speed of threats, Gartner forecasts that by 2030, preemptive solutions will make up half of all security spending.
We're shifting from detect and chase
To prevent and neutralize attacks before they execute.
Preemptive security sounds great in theory, but how do you neutralize an attack you haven't even seen yet? Does something like automated moving target defense, AMTD, really work at scale?
It scales by making the environment unpredictable. AMTD, for example, is constantly changing the attack's surface-shifting IPs, randomizing memory layouts. It makes the reconnaissance and staging steps of an autonomous AI attacker fail instantly.
Because the target is never where they expect it to be.
Exactly. It breaks the predictability that attackers rely on.
That kind of speed also requires superhuman help inside the Security Operations Center, the SOC. We're moving toward the agentic SOC.
We are. AI matures from a basic tool into an active collaborator. Incident responders won't spend hours manually correlating logs anymore.
So the AI does the grunt work.
It does. They'll get alerts prepackaged with AI-generated case summaries, decoded attacker commands, MIRE, ATT, and CK mappings. The analyst's job shifts from manual triage to strategic validation and rapid containment.
And underpinning this entire shift is a better architecture. Zero Trust, or ZTA, is officially moving from a best practice to a global mandate.
It's moving beyond trust but verify, to just assuming breach and verifying every single access request every time. It's becoming a regulatory requirement, driven by things like the DORA regulation in Europe.
The Digital Operational Resilience Act. It forces financial firms to prove their resilience. And If you can't trust the network, then identity really is the new perimeter. That statistic about non-human entities is just staggering.
It is. The focus is shifting to governing the access of an estimated 80 non-human entities for every one human.
80 to 1.
80 non-human access tokens, service accounts, AI agents for every person in your organization. If identity is the new currency, 80% of your currency is held by machines.
And speaking of structural shifts, we have to talk about quantum urgency, the whole harvest now, decrypt later threat.
Right. For those who aren't familiar, post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, is necessary because future quantum computers will instantly break our current encryption.
So adversaries are stealing encrypted data today.
So they can decrypt it in a few years when the tech matures. The urgency is real. Predictions say that spending on PQC readiness, just inventory and planning, will exceed 5% of the total IT security budget in 2026.
That's a huge signal. So we'll see hybrid crypto architectures become the standard, combining classical and PQC algorithms for a smooth transition.
Right. This convergence of regulatory pressure and tech demands is just so intense. Compliance is no longer a checkbox. It's a structural requirement tied to business resilience.
So whether you're trying to implement a PQC roadmap, secure those 80 non-human agents, or find an agentic SOC platform, having the right resources is absolutely key.
It's everything.
On that note, we want to give our final thank you to our sponsor. Please check out www.sismracketplace.com. In this era of mandated architectural change, they are a vital resource for connecting you with trusted, vetted solutions for the 2026 cybersecurity landscape.
Okay, let's move to our final segment and look at the broader business impacts. And we have to start with ransomware, because the tactics are still evolving.
They are.
We're seeing a shift away from pure encryption toward data suppression and reputation manipulation.
So the attackers don't even bother encrypting the files anymore.
Not always. They skip it, which saves them time, and demand payment just to avoid leaking stolen data, or, even more cleverly, they threaten to notify regulators for you. They turn your own compliance requirements into an attack surface.
That is capitalizing on organizational stress, but there is a positive counterpoint to that, right?
Yes, there's a glimmer of hope. The sources note that organizations strengthening immutable backups that can't be altered or deleted, are significantly reducing the leverage of encryption-based extortion.
Because if you can restore quickly from a clean backup, the encryption key isn't worth as much.
Exactly. The urgency to pay just plummets. And this emphasis on demonstrable resilience is driving the cyber insurance market. It's stabilizing, but it's demanding really disciplined underwriting.
So insurers are giving better terms to organizations that can prove they have strong, proactive defenses.
Right, things like a mature zero-trust deployment or excellent identity governance. It creates a virtuous circle where high resilience leads to lower premiums, rewarding disciplined security investment.
And finally, the role of the CISO itself is changing. Cybersecurity has to become a shared language in the C-suite, translated into terms of risk, business value, and impact.
The modern CISO has to be a risk-first strategist.
Yeah.
They need to use what one source called casino thinking, systematically measuring the benefits and costs of risk acceptance to drive strategy with limited resources.
It's about being able to tell the board, if we invest here, we mitigate X risk. If we accept Y risk, the financial exposure is manageable. It's a calculated strategic bet.
Precisely.
That brings us to the end of our deep dive. To summarize the critical points for you, AI dictates the speed, the supply chain dictates the risk, and resilience dictates survival.
And as a final provocative thought, based on everything we reviewed, the experts are observing that the biggest risks for 2026 are rooted not in novel technical vulnerabilities, but in architectural identity debt.
What do you mean by that?
Overprivileged tokens, excessive access for systems, poor accountability between teams. So if identity truly is the new currency, and non-human agents hold 80% of that currency, the question you have to ask yourself is this.
Go on.
Are you focused enough on containing AI agents that can generate their own credentials? Or are you still spending too much time chasing the human who simply clicked a phishing link?
Food for thought indeed. We'll see you on the next deep dive.